These are 5 of the worst moves to use in an MMA bout. Before we get into the list, I want to clarify that we are not looking at rarely used moves like a rolling thunder or a suplexed armbar. We're only looking at moves that occur somewhat frequently, moves you might see a few times on a standard fight card. Also, these are in no particular order. Okay, number 5, volume roundhouse kicks versus wrestlers. A striker can usually get away with a few of these per round if there's a healthy mix of punches thrown in, but spamming roundhouse kicks to the legs and body of a wrestler will more times than not lead to the kicker being taken down. When the kicker has his leg caught by a wrestler, he's essentially handing the wrestler a free single leg, advancing the position of the wrestler by completely skipping the takedown shot and getting right to the part where the wrestler has a hold of the leg. And for that reason, I think it belongs on the list. Okay, number 4, kicking the thigh. I think kicks to the thigh are severely overrated. These kicks are supposed to land on the area right above the knee or land on the upper thigh below the hip, following the IT band. However, the IT band is insanely strong. It can sustain up to 2,000 pounds of force before it even begins to stretch, making it one of the most resilient places on the body when it comes to receiving damage. Whenever people in comment sections criticize the effectiveness of these kicks, there's always that one guy saying, "Bro, take just one kick from a kickboxer and see how it feels." Now, I agree that taking a full power, perfect contact kick from a kickboxer's shin would be debilitating, but that is true if you get hit literally anywhere on the body. My qualm with this logic is that fighters in an actual match are not stationary targets, so the kicker is almost never going to land that perfect kick like he would on pads or a heavy bag. Plus, I would much rather take a perfect kick to the thigh than a teep to the liver or a perfect knee to the ribs. Case in point, Jan Blachowicz versus Ankalaev. In round 1, Jan throws several kicks to Ankalaev's lead thigh, which Ank simply eats and keeps pressuring. It's not until Jan goes shin to shin that Ankalaev starts showing damage, reacts to that damage, and has to switch stances. Okay, number 3, leg locks. These can be effective in an MMA setting when someone is deficient in defending these types of submissions and when the opponent doesn't expect it. However, I do think these are less effective in MMA than in a pure BJJ setting. All too often, we see positions being lost when going for leg attacks, fighters becoming one-dimensional, trying to force leg attack options, and when fighters use leg attacks as a defensive option, they often just receive more damage. Even leg lock specialists like Ryan Hall, Claudio Poyes, and Marcin Held start losing fights at the top level because they become too predictable and lose out on good positioning trying to force the option. One problem is that the submission artist often has his hands occupied with the leg, leaving him susceptible to being hit by strikes. Here, Marcin Held throws away this round hunting for a leg attack sub when he was actually doing really well on the feet. The same thing happens in round 3. These leg attacks will definitely work on occasion and you can beat really good guys with them, BJ Penn and Tom Aspinall for example, but usually when fighters go for these, it's a bad sign. Okay, number 2, jumping the guillotine. This has got to be one of the most common counters that fighters use when their opponent is attempting a takedown. Because of this, MMA fighters have gotten very good and will continue to get better at defending this choke. So when a fighter jumps guillotine, you can bet the odds of it working are very low and he has just given up position for a prayer of a sub attempt. I'm not mad when fighters do this with like 20 seconds or less on the clock, but I believe this to be too much risk for reward. Take Poirier and Khabib, for example, or Glover versus Yuri. So unless you're a guillotine master like Oliveira, jumping the ghillie should be considered a bad option. Okay, number 1, the axe kick. The axe kick makes the list because this kick has to come all the way up and then down for it to land. So why not just go for the front kick to the chin or body? With a front kick, you could hit better angles, it's faster and more powerful in my opinion. We've seen a lot of front kick KOs and knockdowns, but how many fighters have been knocked out with an axe kick? And it is sad because the axe kick does look sick, but even the best axe kickers in the current meta like Dolidze, Arman, and Jones have little to show for their efforts. Even Arman's perfect axe kick didn't even faze Charles Oliveira. Also, with the axe kick, optimally, you would want to land with the heel, whereas the front kick you can land with the ball of your foot, which has greater range. Like the thigh kicks, in practice these might be heaters, but landing one of these axe kicks clean in a real fight seems to be difficult. I see it as one of those kicks that is more artistic than it is effective. GSP had good axe kicks on downed opponents, which might be the best way to use them. One thing I do like about the axe kick is it does mix in an air of unpredictability that will make your opponents more cautious. These more flashy moves, while not as effective as the fundamental strikes, can be nice mental weapons to use to decrease your opponent's volume and gain some spatial respect. Let me know if you agree or disagree with this list and if I'm missing any big ones. Until next time.